Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Is Israel at war with Iran? Is there a declaration of war? Is it something like that, or what's going on? Oh, is Israel at war with Syria? Is there a declaration of war? Is something over there? Is the Syrian army hitting targets in Israel? Is the Iranian army hitting targets in Israel? If so, I would like to know, so then I would say, okay, that's a war and they're shooting at one another. But what I see, and this is what at least this article tells us, the Israeli army, the official army, hits targets within a sovereign independent country, Syria, and allegedly hits some operatives of another sovereign country, which is Iran. Now I don't know if that is really right, just to say the least, because that would be like, let's say, North Korea, let's say, deems certain groups here in the United States as being, terrorists, and they will hit some targets within the United States, and everything should be a-okay. I mean, we are a rule law-based community, aren't we? Let's see this article here that we have talking about Israeli strikes hit Iranian targets near Russia's Mediterranean base, sources, and the base is in Syria, one of the 2 or 3 that the Russians have outside of their territory, and they are the empire. Russia is the empire, not the one who has 150 or something like this bases all around the world. No. Anyway, let's see. This article comes from Reuters from August 14th, 2022. Israeli strikes hit Iranian targets near Russia's Mediterranean bases. Why? Preemptively, I can go to the neighbor's house and do what Israel did, preemptively, because I don't get along with the neighbor, and he might come in the middle of the night and talk to me. Israel hit Iranian targets, this is what they say, in a series of strikes on Sunday near the ancestral home or region of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and close to Russia's main Syrian base on the Mediterranean coast, regional intelligence and Syrian military sources say. The Syrian army earlier said 3 servicemen were killed and 3 were wounded in 2 simultaneous Israeli attacks south of the province of Tartus and another on the capital of Damascus. It gave no detail of the specific locations. So what do you mean? These guys kill people of another country, citizens? Make me understand how that is, why that is accepted. Is because those are the good guys and these guys somehow are the bad guys? The 3 servicemen were the bad guys over there? And in their own country, they're hit by a different country and everybody is just nothing to see here? Well, when you hear this see this kind of things that don't really make legal sense, you think about when you hear, let's say, other guys calling Russia or calling North Korea or calling Iran out and saying, hey, what are you doing here? When you look and say, what? You're talking? I didn't hear you say anything about that. I didn't hear you saying anything about what you did. What are you talking about? So all this thing is just erodes what's left, when I think nothing is left, out of the, the so-called law, rule-based community and world and so on. How can you even, why is this acceptable? Why is this acceptable? Are those terrorists? It's another country. Is that country a terrorist country? And if it's a terrorist country, that means that Russia can, or the United States can also destroy whatever it wants in Syria. Obviously, they're illegally over there. American and British troops are still in Syria without being invited. What are they doing over there? Is Syria still a sovereign country? If it's not, why not? It has a government, it has institutions, it has a language, it has an education system, it has military, all that, prove that that's a country, a functional, however it is, country in the region. Is it still at the United Nations? Yes. Registered trademark. Is it? It is. So then what gives these guys the right to hit these guys, or at least violate their space? And if the other guys do it, oh my God, phew, then you hear it. So the Syrian army earlier said 3 servicemen were killed and 3 were wounded in 2 simultaneous. Okay, 2. The strikes on the northern outskirts of Damascus hit outposts run by the Lebanon pro-Iranian Hezbollah group, 2 Syrian military defectors familiar with the region said. A Syrian, so pro-Iranian, so outpost run by Lebanon's pro-Iranian Hezbollah group, 2 Syrian military. So that means it's fair game to hit them over there, right? It's okay. It's like Afghanistan. It was okay to destroy that country, to look for a guy, right? I'm not going to go deeper into what's going on and what. But a Syrian army officer in the Tartus coastal region told Reuters on conditions of anonymity. I don't believe you. An Iranian base near village of Abu Afsa, south of the port city, was targeted alongside an air defense and radar station nearby. So they hit Syrian army's equipment? Iranian equipment? I think Iranians and the Russians were the only ones invited by Assad over there, weren't they? Israel has staged hundreds of strikes against alleged. You know what alleged is? I allege that that guy is a criminal. Before that's proven and all that in the court of law and so on, it's a long time. You can't just go and beat the guy because you allege or someone alleged. You can't do that. So you can't allege, oh, I think that house over there has, I don't know, methamphetamine. I'm going to go over there and just, you know, eliminate everybody over there because I allege. No, you have to prove that. It's a process. So why here is acceptable? Where you kill people, violate a country's airspace, sovereign country like Ukraine. Remember Ukraine? Hey, Ukraine. Anyway, the latest strikes are part of an escalation of what has been a low-intensity conflict whose goal was to slow down Iran's growing entrenchment in Syria, Israeli and regional military experts say. Well, it's not a conflict because I don't hear those guys attacking Israel. I don't think anything happened. Is it because Israel is so good at defending itself? I hear rockets now from the Gaza or West Bank or whatever. Those guys with the mortars, like Second World War kind of warfare. I don't hear the Iranians sending, you know, like 50 drones. Or do you think they can't? They can. But why do they don't do it? Are they afraid that Israel is gonna hit them back? They hit them anyway. All right. The strikes were close to the Russian Navy's only Mediterranean base in the port of Tartus, where Russian warships are docked, while Moscow Major Khmeimim Air Base is also in nearby Latakia province. Now, I don't know if Russia's intervention alongside Iran helped turn the tide in favor of Assad in an over decade-old conflict. Yeah, and it was the ISIS. Yeah, what about that? They don't mention that here. And I wonder if the Israeli would have hit the Russians, destroy some of the Russians' installation. And here it says that but tensions have mounted between Israel and Russia over the former's condemnation of the Ukrainian war and the latter's scrutiny of Jewish Immigration Agency. Yeah, okay. Israel last month said its military jets came under Russian anti-aircraft fire over Syria in May, but they missed their target, describing the confrontation as one-off incident. What were your fighter jets doing over there, military jets, I wonder, in Syria? Were you invited there? The other guys felt threatened. What's going on? Who's this? Who this? So it's I'm just trying to show how certain countries, sovereign countries, their sovereignty is just you know, trampled by the guys who asked other countries not to you know, trample other countries' sovereignty, like Russia, Ukraine. But here they do it. The United States does it with Syria. Great Britain does it with Syria, Israel does it with Syria, but somehow, and Turkey does it as well in the north with the Kurds, all of a sudden that's acceptable somehow. You know the hypocrisy? And we're supposed to say, hey, it's fine. Why? I mean, a crime is a crime, regardless who does it. I know the world doesn't really work like that, you know, but I just try to point out that some individuals, some countries are just held to no standards and can do no harm, whereas other ones are, you know, held accountable for actions that they should be held accountable. But if you hold accountable for this crime or this action, then if this party does the same thing, then should be held accountable, and it's not. So that makes you lose faith in when they tell you, hey, let's do the right thing. Do the right thing. We did the right thing. What's the right thing? Your right thing is maybe not my right thing, and your right thing, I saw how your right thing works. You showed me already numerous times. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.